Congratulations! You've just signed up to be an MACC gate judge, an essential part of MACC racing. In this video, we'll review some of the common faults you may encounter during your time as a gate judge. MACC sets a single pole slalom and a single panel GS. This means that for a majority of the course, we only set the turning pole or gate. For the first gate, last gate, throughs, and combinations, there are 2 poles or panels set, and the racer must break the plane in between them. For this first section of the course, we will start by reviewing what proper passage looks like. In the event a racer misses a gate, as demonstrated by this racer, they are allowed to hike back up and go around the gate to clear it and continue racing. This is applicable for both our slalom and GS. Since our courses are single pole, in order for the racer to prove they have hiked a sufficient distance to clear the gate, they must climb up above the missed gate on one side and pass down on the opposite side, going around the gate. If the racer asks which gate they missed, as a gate judge you are allowed to answer either back to indicate they need to hike, or once they have gone around the gate properly, you may tell them go on. As a gate judge, you are supposed to limit your responses to these 2 statements. If the racer hikes up to the level of the gate and breaks the imaginary plane but does not go around the gate, they have not properly cleared the gate and therefore they essentially missed that gate and must be disqualified. This should be noted as a DSQ on your gate judge card. A quick note or diagram of why the racer is disqualified is always helpful in the event the racer disputes the call. For a racer to have proper passage around the gates, both ski tips and boots must go around the base of the gate. This racer unfortunately straddled it. This racer could have hiked back up to the straddled gate, rounded it, and continued on, however they skied off. They should be marked on your gate judge card as a DNF, did not finish, and it would help to note that they straddled and skied off. Our final racer for this section gets lost in the course and never breaks the plane of the 2 blue gates making up the top half of the hairpin. Unfortunately, they must be marked as a DSQ because they did not properly clear all the gates. Let's move on and take a look at another section of the course. Again, we'll start with an example of what proper passage looks like. Note that this section of the course has a through gate. Racers must go between these 2 blue poles to properly clear this gate. Watch this racer closely. He skis above the turning pole of the blue through gate and therefore never breaks the plane between them. He continues on skiing the rest of the course and therefore should be marked as a DSQ. From this position on the hill, it is very obvious that this racer straddles the turning pole of the through gate. This racer skis off instead of continuing down the course and so therefore should be marked as a DNF instead of a DSQ. Our last racer of this section also has difficulties with this through gate. She skis high of it but recognizes the issue, stops, and hikes back up to clear the gate. Since the through gate has an inside pole and an outside pole, all she has to do is hike above the imaginary plane between the 2 poles and she can continue on without fault. For our last section, it's your turn to be the gate judge. We'll let each racer ski through the course and then recap any errors we spot. Here's our first racer. If you determine this was proper passage for this section of the course, you would be correct. This racer skied each gate and the flush properly. Here's our next racer. Did you catch that? This racer missed the last blue gate of the flush. She never went between the 2 blue poles. She should be marked as a DSQ because she continued on to complete the course after she missed the gate. How about this racer? This racer did actually complete the course correctly, though he skied a different path from our first racer for this section. It doesn't matter which direction you enter or exit the flush from as long as you break the plane between all the gate pairs. Again, this racer has cleared all the gates and there is no grounds for disqualification. Here's our last racer. Let's see if you can follow this one. Confused? No worries, we'll run through this together. The first racer is doing well until he gets to the last gate of the flush. He clearly straddles the gate and decides to hike. Meanwhile, the next racer behind him was already on course. Because the second racer was so close when the first racer started hiking, the first racer made the correct decision to stay clear of the course so as not to interfere with the second racer. Once the second racer had passed, the first racer is allowed to jump back in the course and continue their run. This overtaking situation is allowed under MACC rules provided the fallen first racer does not interfere with the second racer. Our first racer wasn't paying close enough attention and ran smack into the first gate after the flush. Tough luck for him. As previously noted with any straddle, from here he has 3 options. He can hike to clear the gate, he can continue skiing the course and get marked as a DSQ, or he can ski off and be marked as a DNF. Before we wrap up, here are a couple additional rules to note. If a racer loses a ski, they are automatically disqualified unless it is between the last gate of the course and the finish line. If the racer falls in this area, they may finish the race even if it's on foot. If a racer falls in the course and receives assistance to get up, they are automatically disqualified. But if a racer is seriously hurt, please hold the course and contact Ski Patrol. Most of the time, being a gate judge is not nearly as eventful as the demonstrations here. However, our gate judges are the eyes of the race course. If something doesn't look right, make a note and a diagram of the event, and speak with the chief of course or the director of course officials for further clarification on the rules. The examples we've run through today are not comprehensive of all the MACC rules, but rather some of the most common faults we run into during typical races. If you have any further questions about the rules or being a gate judge, please feel free to contact the director of course officials. Are you ready? Let's race!